Whoa,
Get out, get out.
Whoa, what did I do?
Stay down.
Whoa, what the hell did I do, dude?
Roll over on your face. Roll over on your stomach.
What did I do?
Over on your stomach.
What did I do, man?
Over on your stomach now.
Okay, bro. Okay.
Roll over on your stomach.
Okay, bro, don't shoot me, man.
Get on your stomach.
What did I do?
Roll onto your stomach.
Am I gonna go?
Yes.
Onto your stomach.
I didn't do anything. What the hell?
Put your hands out in front of you.
Okay.
Put your hands out in front of you.
Dude?
Hands all the way out.
I can't breathe, dude.
Hands all the way out in front of you.
Okay.
Straight out in front of you.
Okay.
Those are Aurora, Colorado Police Department officers, John Halbert and Francine Martinez, I guess going through an arrest, a routine traffic stop. And as you can see, they flipped the one person over, put a gun to his head, told him to get on his stomach. You could see the man's hand shaking at one point. That's the first time I actually noticed that the first time, while two other folks there with him took off running, and that's what started this whole thing. So let's get into the details of what happened from the Daily Dot. The Aurora Police Department in Colorado is under scrutiny following the release of body camera footage showing an officer beating an unarmed black man with a gun. These officers, as I mentioned, are John Halbert and Francine Martinez. They were responding to a trespassing call just last week when they encountered 3 suspects. 2 of them ran, but 29-year-old Kyle Vinson, he remained seated until Halbert shoved him to the ground, as we just saw there. And by the time that that the victim got to a hospital, he required 6 stitches for his head wounds and received treatments for additional bruising. Let's go to that next clip of how that head bruising and extra cuts happened to his head.
Dude, you have a gun pointed straight at your head.
I don't have a gun. Why am I going in cuffs? I don't have a warrant, bro.
Stop fighting. Stop fighting.
Help! 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 I don't have a warrant, bro. Bro, I don't have no warrant, bro.
Get on your face.
Bro, I don't have
Get on your face.
I don't have a warrant, dude.
Get on your face.
Okay.
Get on your face now.
Okay, bro.
Get on your face.
Okay, bro. Okay.
Get on your face.
You're killing me.
On your face.
You're killing me, bro.
On your face.
You're killing me.
Get on your face.
You're killing me.
Roll over on your face.
You're killing me. You're killing
on your
me.
face.
You're killing me. You're killing me.
Get on your face.
I don't have a warrant, bro.
On your face.
I don't have a warrant.
Get over on your face.
Okay, dude. I just been
On your face.
I don't have a warrant, bro.
Get on your
I
face.
don't have a warrant.
As you watch this kind of footage, I'd start wondering if you're the police officer standing there and you've just crushed the top of this guy's head several times with the butt of your gun and he's bleeding and he says, "You're killing me, I'm sorry, stop it, what did I do? I don't have anything, you got the wrong guy." As all those things are happening, does that make you more angry? Does that piss you off further? How does that scene make you more upset? I'm just trying to figure out how the anger escalates in you from someone begging you to stop. Or if they're not on their stomach yet, it makes you think, let me go ahead and attack them and that will work. I've never got to the point of thinking, so what's in your mind as that's happening? Maybe the rage is in your mind your whole day and you don't know what's happening. Maybe you detach from your body and you just see someone that you wanna just mess up as much as possible. So anyway, that's just my thought. But the police department here tried to get out in front of the controversy before this video came out and before everyone started marching in the streets of Aurora to make sure that they do something about this. So the police chief there, Vanessa Wilson, denounced Halbert's action as well as Martinez's failure to stop his violence or report him after the fact. She says, "We're disgusted, we're angry," in a press conference. "This is not police work. We don't train this. This is not acceptable." She also called the incident an anomaly. So, as we know, there's been other anomalies in this particular police department where they've harassed and attacked and killed folks. So also, some of the consequences for these 2 officers that were laid down, they were arrested on Tuesday, both of them, with Halbert facing charges of felony assault and menacing, as well as misdemeanor charges of an official misconduct and official oppression. Martinez is being charged with failing to intervene and failing to report a use of force. Both officers are currently on administrative leave without pay pending an investigation. This is the first time I've heard of an officer that's standing there with the assaulting officer getting charged with failing to report or failing to step in. Because what I've seen, and maybe it's different with the Aurora Police Department, and maybe I should commend them for this, if there's a police officer that's part of an assault and they don't do anything about it or stop the officer from attacking a victim, they also get charged. I'm not sure if there's something that's spreading across the country. I'm also not sure, maybe this is part of the defund the police thing that all these conservatives are afraid about. So now they're scaring cops into reporting other bad apples that apparently don't really exist.
Yeah, so JR, there's definitely a silver lining in this otherwise horrific story. So let me take this one at a time. So in terms of the police chief there, I agree and disagree, right? So the part where we disagree, she says, this is not part of the training. So maybe pistol whipping someone is not part of the training. Okay, but over the top force to get people to comply with your orders is definitely part of the training. And we've seen it a billion times across the country. Anyone who's ever interacted with a police officer knows if you disagree with them or don't comply because you're confused, you don't understand, or you're worried or you're panicked, whatever the reason might be. If you don't, or you feel like, hey, why are you bothering me when I didn't do anything wrong? If you don't comply with a police officer's orders instantly and perfectly, they will go over the top. Everybody knows this. And what? Every cop in the country is doing it because it's not part of their training? No, of course it's part of their training. So on the other hand, arresting the officers, including the one that didn't stop him, holy cow, I'm with JR, I'm not sure I've ever seen that. And that is great news. And the reason it's great news is not because, haha, we got Martinez in this case, the female officer that didn't stop her partner. It's great news to send out the message to police. They'll hate it, right? But that's good. We want them to be say, oh, now we got to stop our fellow cops from beating the living crap out of people? Yes, that's exactly what we want you to do, right? So that's a great precedent. I hope they do that more and more. And by the way, if that precedent existed before George Floyd incident, he would probably be alive today because the other 4 cops would think, I don't want to get arrested and go to jail because this guy's obviously killing him right in front of our eyes, right? Let alone hitting him, etc. So that's great. And then the second half of the story is about him, about the guy they're accosting there. Like a lot of times right-wingers go, oh, well, they wouldn't have had any of these problems if they hadn't run, like when the cops shoot him in the back, etc., right? Well, the 2 guys ran, they were okay. One guy didn't run, and they kicked the living crap out of him. Now you know why they run. And there was no way to comply with the orders when you in a horrifying situation like that, right? So I know right-wingers right now, well, he could have just rolled around. His hands are shaking, there's a gun to his head, and yes, I know you don't acknowledge it, but he's black, so there's an extra chance that he might be killed. They think there's a warrant out for him, apparently there isn't, right? And so he's in an incredibly nervous situation to begin with. They point the gun at him, and then they start smashing his head. And then they're like, what is your natural reaction when someone's smashing your head? Put your hands up, right? You put your hands up, etc. And they're like, no, you're not complying with my orders perfectly. Yeah, that's because you're pistol whipping me, and I'm bleeding from the face. I'm worried I'm about to be killed. And so there's no winning in these situations, and that's why we need to fix the policing culture in this country.
This video was very particularly difficult to watch because there's so many moments in it where I was like, okay, this is it. This is where he gets shot. This is where the police officer pulls the trigger. And there's also a moment where like you were saying, he puts his hand up in defense in front of the gun, and it just broke my heart because he, you could tell he thought, this is how I'm gonna die. And I mean, fortunately, this is not one of the countless videos there are where the victim of police brutality actually does get shot and actually does die. But it's still a horrific crime being committed against him by the police officers. And I can't get over the police chief claiming that this is an anomaly. An anomaly. This isn't even, it's not just not an anomaly for police all across this country. It's not an anomaly for the Aurora Police Department specifically. I mean, we all remember the video of the police officer pulling over the wrong car and holding, an innocent black family at gunpoint. We remember the Aurora Police Department murdering Elijah McClain. And just very recently, the Aurora Police Department settled 2 police brutality or police misconduct cases, each for $75,000. In one instance, a black man walked into a coffee shop where there was 2 cops from the Aurora Police Department. They turned around, put their hands on their guns, and said, "Your kind of business isn't welcome here." And in another instance, they entered the wrong home and dragged a 60-year-old disabled black man outside, threw him on the ground, illegally arrested him. I mean, it's not just not an anomaly across the country. This is a pattern within this specific police department. So, and to see the other officer Martinez stand there and not try to interfere and not even report it afterwards. And I'm glad she's being held accountable. But I mean, it just goes to show that she didn't see that, she didn't think anything was wrong. So, you can say, people love to say that it's just a few bad apples, it's just a few bad apples. But, when they're being enabled by the entire institution, then it's not just a few bad apples. Then it's all cops. And then it is systemic failure of the institution of policing in our country. And that's what all of these videos that are coming out now are just going to show.
When the people who trained Officer Halbert, I don't know if I'm saying his name correctly, when they trained him and they handed him issued his gun, his official weapon, as he goes out into the field, did they say use this weapon to intimidate, to coerce, to get someone to comply? Is that what the gun is for? Or is the gun there to protect you if someone is trying to kill you or harm you or take your own life in defense? Or is that gun being pulled out and placed on his head and used to cut his head open when he pistol whipped him? Is that there to intimidate? Is that there to make him comply more to your orders? Because that's what it sounded like when he said, "You've got a gun to your head." Why else would you tell someone you've got a gun to your head? If a criminal says, "I've got a gun, give me the money," that means if you don't give me the money, I'm going to shoot you. So if a cop says, "Hey, I got a gun to your head," to the back of your head, because he can't see it because he's on his stomach, which you told him to get on. If he pulls out the gun and says, "I've got it to your head," why else would you do that? Is that part of police protocol? To intimidate and coerce someone with your gun, with your murder weapon? I don't know, but he definitely thought so.
Yeah, that's a great point, JR. Almost every time, again, the right wing will say, "Oh no, their life was in danger." Did it look like the cop's life was in danger there? Nobody thought that, right? Not one person thought that. So when they're pulling up and they think somebody there has a warrant, they're careful, sure, right? But the guy's already on the ground. He clearly has nothing on him. He's scared for his life. What he thought that guy was somehow going to murder him and his partner? Nobody thinks that, you know that, right? No, he's using the gun there because he wants to use it to intimidate and eventually assault. So I noticed a couple of the same things that JR and Rayvana were talking about. First of all, when the guy was twitching, like in the beginning, right, and you saw his hand shaking because he's so nervous. The cop is going, got the gun out and all that stuff, and he said, "Put your hands up." I noticed it looked like first he put his hands down and then put them up, because you get so scared, you're in a panic situation, and any wrong move can get you killed. The one video that I always remember in this regard was actually a white guy who was killed in a hotel room where the cop was giving him completely contradictory directions. Get up, sit down, put your hands up, put your hands down. And at some point in the middle of put your hands up, put your hands down, he just shot him while he was on his knees because he wasn't complying with orders. So you can see why people would be nervous. Oh my God, where do I put my hands? I don't know. We've seen that in countless videos. And then when he said you have a gun pointed to your head, when I first watched the video, I thought he said you have a gun to the person that he's accosting, right? And that's what he thought too, because he's like, "No, I don't have a gun." If you heard him right in the video, my God, if a cop says to you, "You've got a gun" when you don't have one, you're about to die. So imagine how scared he was when he thought the cop said, "You have a gun." I mean, that's 9 out of 10 times, that's the last second of your life.
They already said you have a warrant when he said, "I don't have a warrant." Next is, "You have a gun." "No, I don't." "Oh my God, you guys have everything wrong. This is about to end."
Right. So look, we cover these stories because it's important for you to know what's happening in the country, and most importantly though, to get justice. Now in this case, we're beginning to be on a road to justice. The cops were arrested, And we should really make note of the other cop being arrested as well for not stopping the assault. That is nearly unprecedented in America. If you're watching this outside of America, you're like, that's unprecedented, right? But here in America it is, because our cops are a gang, and that's what the whole slogan of Thin Blue Line means. It doesn't matter what law you break, it doesn't matter what you do, cops will always support other cops. And now, well, you might go to jail for that. And so some self-preservation is going to kick in for police across the country. And that's a way you can begin to actually change police culture and training in America. And let's hope they go further in that direction.
Thanks for watching The Young Turks. We really appreciate it. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. You'll get to interact with us more. There's live chat emojis, badges. You've got emojis of me, Anna, John, JR. So those are super fun. But you also get playback of our exclusive member-only shows and specials right after they air. So all of that, all you gotta do is click that join button right underneath the video. Thank you.